Well, hello everyone. My name is Steven Ziegler and I'm with the Crafty Situation and Mosaic Moments, and I wanted to welcome you to our volume virtual event for October 10th. I hope everyone is doing well. I know that this event replaces our in-person event that we were supposed to have for Mega Meet that had been rescheduled for May. So I'm really sorry again that we weren't able to meet in person again, but so glad that the Great Lakes Mega Meet made this event available to us. We have a really exciting presentation planned for you right now. What we're going to do in just a second is I'm going to point my camera downwards. We are going back to the mines. So we are going to work on our diamond mines page. I have a really cool technique to show you with this and something really neat to explain if you've already purchased or are thinking about purchasing the Crafty box that's still available for this presentation. I have some really good, cool news for you for that. So in just a second, let me point this down, and then at the end of the presentation, of course, we have some sales and specials and things like that that I can't wait to go over with you. Okay, so everybody should be able to see my work surface now. So we are going to be working with our diamond mines dies that I'll introduce in just a second, and we're actually going to get started on this page here on the left. I call this my Safari page. The reason why I did have my page on the right available though is as I introduced the diamond mines dies, I wanted to show you kind of what the native diamond mines look or the original diamond mines look was. And that was to use two of the dies out of our 5-die series to kind of make this diamond pattern around your page. So that's why I have this hot air balloon page out. That was kind of the classic diamond that Tammy envisioned when she created the Diamond Mines page. So this is my hot air balloon page. But like I said, these are using two of our dies. It's using our Diamond Mines 3x3 die, and it's using our Diamond Mines 3x4 die on the sides. So 3x3 in the corners, and it repeats in each of the 4 corners. And then our Diamond Mines 3x4 die on each of the 4 sides. There are 3 other dies as part of the Diamond Mines series, and one of them that I think gets some of the least recognition is our Diamond Mines 3x3 cross die. The Diamond Mines 3x3 cross looks like this. So it's very similar to the die that you might see here in the corner, except it's got this kind of middle bar that goes down through here. And when I try to explain this at shows or I'm talking about the Diamond Mines 3x3 cross, sometimes it's hard to envision or hard to picture. So what I wanted to do, of course, was make a page that highlighted that Diamond Mines 3x3 cross. So that's the page that we have here. It looks quite different from the hot air balloon page in the sense that it's got just a middle diamond part here that was cut with orange and yellow cardstock, and then I've kind of made my pictures go around the sides here. What I did for this page that I really like, that I try to sometimes adopt, is there's 8 different pictures on this page, and they kind of blend from using the inside of the Diamond Mines 3x3 cross die to a big rectangle on the outside. And each of them does the same thing. So this picture goes with this picture here and here, and it's very easy to do this effect. And I just like it because with everything Mosaic Moments, it's very appeasing to the eye. It's a very different look. And to the end audience, it looks really sophisticated and really difficult to do. Like, oh, you had to eye these up or you had to get them perfect. And really, it's quite simple using the Big Shot machine or your die cutting machine. What's special about this Diamond Mines Crafty box, if you've already purchased it or you're thinking about purchasing it, we still have it available on craftysituation.com, is what I'm going to do today is I'm going to get started with this page, and I'm probably going to get most of this top left-hand corner done. But because this page is a little bit more involved, we're not going to finish the whole page. But part of the Crafty box that you have purchased or you're going to purchase includes a 75-minute online class with me. We're going to do a Facebook Live of that class this coming Thursday on October 15th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And the instructions are going to be in that Crafty box. But certainly if you order it now, that video is going to be recorded. And it's going to be available in that Facebook group. It's going to be available with comments and questions and things like that. So what we're going to do during that 75-minute class, since we have 2.5 times the amount of time we have during our presentation, is we're going to make the rest of this page. So you'll get to go step by step in a little bit slower of a pace how we're going to make this page, and then we're going to make one of our classic Diamond Mines pages. And I happen to have another one right here. So we're going to make another page that's similar to this, where we have our diamond that goes through the middle, and then we have our pictures and things like that. So that's what we're going to work on during class. So I wanted to let you know that if it seems like I'm going a little bit fast for you here today, or there's some more questions that you have, you'll be able to interact live with me on Facebook Live during the class, or just have a little bit longer to work on projects together and to do a full double page layout. So if you're brand new to Mosaic Moments, I want to just kind of give you an introduction to what I'm going to be working with today. The first thing I'm going to be working with is our 12 by 12 grid paper. Now our 12 by 12 grid paper is actually, this grid is underneath this page. You just can't see it because what we do with our grid paper is as we're lining up our different elements like our photos and our cardstock and our die cuts and things like that, we are lining them up to the grid and just covering the grid line without going over. So that's the whole thing, that we want to cover those grid lines, and then by doing that, everything lines up nicely, vertically and horizontally, and it has that nice even 1/8 of an inch spacing in between. What happens then is your audience really likes the final look. It's really soothing and appeasing and comforting to the eye, and then because you've covered this grid, they have no idea you used grid paper underneath here. Our grid paper comes in over 100 different colors. We have 60, a little bit more than 60 solid colors, and then we have some patterned colors that come in different gradients and things like that. So while I'm using white today, do know that if you have a favorite color like blue or yellow or red, we not only have those colors, but we have them in multiple different shades. So light red, dark red, medium red, we have all kinds of different things for you. So that's what I'm going to be working with, is my grid paper. We also have different sizes such as 8 by 8 and 6 by 6, and we even have grid cards in which you can make a design on top of a grid card with kind of the same concept that I'm going to teach today. We're also going to be using two types of adhesive. We're going to be using our repositionable adhesive, and what repositionable adhesive is it's the same as regular permanent adhesive, except that it's repositionable at first. So as you're trying to place your element down onto your page and just cover those grid lines, it allows you, if you make a boo-boo or a mistake, to pick up that element and put it back down where it was supposed to go without destroying either your paper or your element. What's nice about this repositionable adhesive is it does become permanent over time. So it does set in about 24 hours, and then once it's on really well. Pretty much all of my pages are made with repositionable adhesive. The other thing that we're going to be using that comes as part of your Crafty box is sticky specks. Now what sticky specks are is they are micro adhesive, and I'm going to use those to apply my frames or my little, anything that has really little areas that's hard to apply, my runner adhesive. And I'm not a big fan of liquid adhesive, so you're going to see that sticky specks work really nice. Everybody, like I said, that purchased the Crafty box did get an 8-pack of the A5, which is kind of those half-sized letter sheets of sticky specks, and I'll show you a couple of tips and tricks for those in just a minute here. The other thing to tell you is that I'm going to be using my basic dies in two different ways on this page. The first way I've already done is what I've done for the four corners here. You're going to see a brown square. That brown square was cut out using my basic dies. Now what the basic dies are is they are a set of 6 different die sets that have rectangles and squares in that fit to the grid. So when we talk about the grid, each square that we talk about is 1 inch by 1 inch. And then when we talk about, 1 by 1 or 2 by 2 or 3 by 3, we're talking about the number of squares on the grid. So for instance, I used this die, which is blue, out of our basic die set A, which is our squares, to cut this square here that's going to go on my grid. And when I align it up to the top left-hand corner, which is where it's meant to go here, you're going to see that it's going to just cover 2 squares by 2 squares perfectly without going over and with leaving that perfect gap in between here. So I'm going to be using that die. And the other die that I'm going to be using to make this double effect here, like I did with the photographs, where it not only is cut with a Diamond Mines 3x3 cross, but it's also cut with a rectangle, is I'm going to use my 2x3 rectangle. So 2 squares across by 3 squares down, my 2x3 rectangle that comes from the basic die set C, which is the pink die set. So those are the 2 dies that I'm using from the basic set. So some people say, oh, I'm not a big fan of squares and rectangles. They're also used for a lot of different things. Here we're integrating them with our Diamond Mine dies to create this really cool page. So in order to get started with the page, I actually need to do a little bit of cutting. So I'm going to get that out of the way first, and you're going to see how I put everything together here. When we're working with our dies that create a frame, I like to say that it's a three-step process that we're going to follow in order to create our page. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to use our die, and we're going to cut our cardstock to cut out the frame. That's step one. Then the second step that we're going to do is we're going to use the same die, we're going to use it again, and we're going to cut out any pattern or cardstock paper that we want to use to accent with that die. In this case, it would be the orange and the yellow paper. So step one was cutting the frame, which is brown in this case here. Step two is going to be cutting the orange and the yellow paper. And then my third step that I'm going to follow is I'm going to use the same die, again, to cut my photo. I'm actually going to use two dies, and you're going to see that in a second, but that's what's going to cut my photograph. And then afterwards, all I need to do is paste down my elements, glue down my elements to my grid paper, again, lining up to the grid without going over, and just keep repeating those steps for each of the different areas here, and I will have a completed page. So let me just grab my die cut machine down here, and I'm using a Big Shot, but the nice thing about our dies is they fit in any die cut machine that's on the market today that works with the wafer thin dies. So these are standard dies, and again, any of the die cut machines like the Platinum or the Grand Caliber or the Cuttlebug, the Vagabond, the Evolution, the Revolution, they all work. So what I'm going to do now is I've got my piece of brown cardstock. I'm cutting that brown frame first. I've made my sandwich here, and every manufacturer is a little bit different of a sandwich. I know this to be our Big Shot sandwich. I've laid my die down here, and I'm going to run it through my machine. Just have to hold on it here. All right, so I've run it through the machine now, and everything's going to pop out. And what I'm primarily looking for here, I don't care about those parts, I'm looking for this frame. So this is step one, is to cut my frame piece out. So that's what I wanted to do first. I've got that taken care of, so I'm going to lay that to the side. Step two is I'm going to cut my orange and my yellow paper with the die to get these triangles that are down here. And for sake of time, I'm going to do them together. There's no reason you couldn't do them separately if you wanted to. But what I'm doing is I'm just laying my orange and my yellow paper right over my die, making sure that I'm covering the areas of my die that I want to cover, and making sure that they don't move. You can use some washi tape or low-tack adhesive if you definitely want to make sure they don't move. But then what I'm going to do is I'm going to run it through the machine. Now, mind you, remember the first time when I cut, I kept that frame. That's what I was looking for then. This time, now that I've cut out, what I'm looking for is I'm just looking for these negative pieces, the orange piece here and the yellow piece. So those two pieces are what I've cut out. Like I said, for sake of time, I cut them at the same time. There's no reason you couldn't do them separately, though, if you wanted. So I've got those two pieces cut out. So step one was, again, cutting my frame. Step two, then, was to cut my cardstock pieces that go in to my frame. And then step three is going to be to cut my photographs. Before I cut my photograph, I'm actually going to put my machine down for just a minute so that I can get some of these elements glued onto my page, just so you can kind of see where we're at. I don't want to get too far ahead here. I want you to be able to follow what I'm doing here. So if you've never used our Mosaic Moments grid paper before, what I recommend to you is I recommend that you start with your grid paper where it's in the top, where the Tammy Potter 2001 logo is in the top left-hand corner. The reason why I recommend you start there is that makes sure that your grid lines are on the top and the left. And I just think that if you're beginning to start out with Mosaic Moments, that makes it easier to line things up. So you're going to want the grid lines to be on the left and the top. And don't worry about that logo up at the very top. We're going to cover that up. Now, since this piece of, since this square here, this piece of cardstock is a little bit bigger, I'm using my regular repositionable adhesive here. I've applied some adhesive down to the bottom, and I'm just going to line that up both on the tops and the sides. And again, just cover that grid line without going over. So I've got that lined up. That's my top left-hand corner. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my frame down. And the frame that I've cut is this frame piece that sits right here. It kind of sits directly diagonal of my corner piece that I just glued down. And for that, I'm going to use my sticky specs. Now, the sticky specs come in, again, there's 8 half letter size sheets that come in your pack. There's a yellow side to your sticky specs and there's a clear side. You're going to work on that clear side. Now, just as a hint, if you've never used sticky specs before, I kind of modify mine a little bit to make them easier to use. The first thing I do is I take a stapler and I put a staple the whole way down one side of my sticky specs, and you'll see why I do that in just a second. The other thing I do is I waste a little corner, maybe a ½ inch or 3/4 of an inch of a corner of my sticky specs, just to be able to put a piece of cardstock down, just so I have something to grab so I don't get sticky specs all over my fingers. I just found from using it that that was the easiest thing for me to be able to use and make best use of my sticky specs, and I do that with every sheet that I have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull my sticky specs back, and the reason I have those staples on the side there is so that as I'm pulling this plastic piece back, it doesn't accidentally come off of the yellow piece, because I don't want that to happen. I want the plastic and the yellow to stay together. So that just helps me to ensure that they stay together. When I pull the plastic back, I'm going to put my brown frame in that I want to add adhesive to, and I'm going to lightly rub the brown frame. I'm not going to press real hard or burnish it, because if I do, when I try to pick that brown frame up, it's going to be really stuck onto the sticky specs. So after I've done that, I'm going to pull my plastic back again, and then I'm going to reach in and just grab the brown frame off just like it was a sticker. And it's hard to see in the camera, but there is stickiness on the back of this frame now. And I like the sticky specs because it just makes it really nice and easy to get adhesive on this really thin frame. And what's nice about it is, unlike other manufacturers, it doesn't leave like this horrible residue or horrible like stickiness in between the negative areas and stuff like that. It really only puts sticky where it's supposed to. Some people ask us, are the sticky specs repositionable? And the answer is yes. There's one big caveat though. Once you press down like I just did here with my left hand, once you press down there, they're pretty much stuck on there permanently. So as you're trying to line up, make sure you line up first with your item that you have sticky specs on before you press down permanently. Because if you press down, they're pretty good and solid on there. They're not as repositionable as, say, this adhesive here. So I've got my frame down. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to put some adhesive on the back of my triangle, and I'm going to sit that, because we cut it with the same die that we cut our frame with, the triangle actually just fits right into the negative area or the open area right there. So I've got my yellow triangle down, and you've probably guessed the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my orange triangle in. All right, so that's completed kind of that top left-hand corner there. The only thing that I need to do next is I need to add my photos. I've used the same photos or reprinted the same photos that I had in my example. I've got my, I guess he's a vulture or a bird up here on my, for my top picture here for this bottom and this top part here. And I've got my zebra picture here with the Jeep, with a photographer on the Jeep for my left-hand picture here. So I am going to cut those with the dies, and this is kind of, I like this effect. So you're gonna see what I'm gonna do here. I make this really nice and easy. This is all one cut per photo. So it's not like I'm having to do multiple photos. So I've got my bird here, and what I need to do first is I need to use my die, and I need to make sure that I angle it correctly, because I'm looking for this piece here. If you can see, if I lay my die on top of here, I'm looking for this piece here to cut out of my photo. So I want to just angle it just correctly onto my picture, that it's going to cut that area there for me. So it's going to cut this kind of triangle-ish area here for me to be able to use my photograph with. And then, again, using my pink 2x3 rectangle die from my basic set C, I'm going to also lay that onto my photograph right on my bed at the same time, right onto my cutting bed at the same time. What I want to make sure of, though, is I want to make sure these two are lined up, but that one is not overlapping the other, because that will create a car accident as it goes through the machine, and we don't want any car accidents. So this is perfectly, I know it's hard to see in camera, but this isn't overlapping one another, but it is lined up left and right, so it's exactly where I want to cut it. So from there, then, what I'm going to do is I'm going to place my top plate on, and I'm just going to make sure and be careful that my dies don't move, and I'm going to run it through my machine. And you're going to hear a normal little crunch sound on most machines, and that's okay. That's normal. There's nothing wrong with that. And then after it's cut through here, what I'm going to do is I've got my piece there that I can glue down now, and then simultaneously I've also got my top piece. So the effect that we've done here is we've cut the same photo with two different dies to kind of create like just a double effect, two different area effect on our page. And I've done that with all 8 of the photos that I did my sample with. I'm going to repeat the same thing. Now, mind you again that I'm going to need to place my die. So I'm going to put my photo on my photo on my stand here on my die cut machine. And then what I'm looking for is this area here. Because if I lay down, I'm looking at this area here. So I want to place that and make sure that I want to put it exactly where I want it to cut, which is pretty much right there. And then again, right beside it is where I'm going to put my pink rectangle die, because that's going to cut this area here. So again, doing 2 for the price of 1, 2 cut for the price of 1, making sure it doesn't overlap again, same thing like we did before with the bird. And I'm going to run that through the machine again now. All right, so when that comes out, grab my dies and set them to the side here. What I'm going to have is I'm going to have my rectangular piece that's going to go onto the side there on the left-hand side. And then I've got my triangular-ish piece. That's my new word, triangular-ish. I've got my triangular-ish piece that's going to sit inside my frame there. So all I need to do then is just take some of my adhesive, and I'm going to glue those onto my grid paper. So if you've never worked with our grid paper, you can see that all of our dies are made to use the Mosaic Moments grid paper. What's nice about that is there's no guesswork. Not only is there no guesswork, but there's no fussy cutting involved either, which is something I really like. So I don't even have a pair of scissors on my desk here with me now, because I don't need them. Everything is done with the dies. You can see that I cut my cardstock, I would cut my pattern paper, my coordinating cardstock. Basically, everything is done with the dies, and then I also cut my photograph as well. So I didn't need to do any stenciling or anything like that. And then I know that everything is cut perfectly, and all I need to do is glue or place adhesive, and then line up and glue down onto my grid paper. And I'm going to have my, well, partially finished, in this case, layout for myself. So just going to glue the top rectangle down there, and you can see how it's already creating that nice even spacing in between each of my elements. That's that 1/8 inch of space. And like I said, what's nice about that is that's really appealing to the eye. So people look at that and they really like that even spacing there. It really meets the eye and is appeasing to the eye. So what we've got here, a little bit of adhesive on my picture here, I just need to pull off. So what we've done here is we've finished this top 1/4 of our layout. So we did that again by doing that 3-step process. The first step being that we cut our brown frame. The second being that we cut our coordinating cardstock, our orange and our yellow in this case. And then the third that we cut our photos. So when I want to build the rest of this page, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to repeat this basically 4 more times. I'm going to do the same thing for the bottom left-hand corner. I'm going to do the same thing for the top right-hand corner. And I'm going to do the same thing for the bottom right-hand corner. So that's what I would do to complete that page, is just keep repeating that pattern. Now, of course, each time I'm going to flip my die. So I'm going to flip my 3x3 die, my 3x3 cross die, each time I'm doing this, but that's what's going to create this pattern here on this page. What's nice about our Diamond Mines dies and about working with these dies with frames is we have 3 different levels of dies. We have our Discovery dies, we have our Explore dies, and then we have our Adventure dies. And these are called an Adventure die because they're kind of like our level 3 dies. They're a little bit more involved. I don't want to say they're more complicated because I hope this 3-step process was easy to follow, but there's a little bit more work involved here. We've got to cut our frame, we've got to cut our cardstock, and then we've got to cut our picture. So these are a little bit more of adventure. They take a little bit longer, but once you know how to do this simple 3-step routine, you can repeat that for any sets that we have, whether it's crisscross or X Factor. You can basically repeat that because you're still going to follow that same 3-step process. Cut the frame, cut the coordinating cardstock or pattern paper, and then cut your photograph, and just glue it down to your grid paper. So I hope that makes sense to you. Like I said at the beginning here, this was meant to be a demonstration to show you how we got started with this page. Most of you probably will be able to go back through, even if you rewatch this demonstration, and be able to finish the other 4 corners of your page here. If you want more or longer instruction, again, we will be doing a class that is included for free as part of this Crafty box. So if you haven't bought this box yet, it's still available, as well as the dies for a very special price. And what we're going to do is we're going to walk through making the rest of this page, and we're also including the contents and kits to make a page similar to this as well. So that is our Diamond Mines, or our Back to the Mines Diamond Mines Crafty box. What I wanted to show you very quickly here is just different pages that you can make with our Diamond Mines dies. So you've seen this die here, or this page here, which is our classic diamond. With this hot air balloon page here, we still made the diamond, but instead of using pattern paper, we filled in the diamond with just our photographs. And I love that page, the hot air balloon page. I did the same effect here for our beach page. And then this page is a little bit different because not only did we do the outside diamond here, but we also did a little bit of a different effect here in the middle. And during our video, I can certainly show you how to do this effect. This middle die is our Diamond Mines 4x4 die. So we were able to use that to create that effect there. This is a little bit different of a page in the sense that we used our photographs again to fill in our diamond, and then each corner is accented with our Diamond Mines 3x3 cross. So that same die that we had been using earlier for our demonstration here accents each of the 4 corners. So just a little bit different. You can see how they make completely different pages though, and they're very much similar dies. This is a page we made for last year in class. This is using our Diamond Mines 2x2 die, and then our Diamond Mines 3x3 die in the middle. And then this page for Seattle and this polar bear page are basically the exact same pages. The only thing that we've done different, of course, different photographs, but then we also, instead of using the Diamond Mines 3x3 die, we used the 3x3 cross die here. So, and then we accented with some pattern paper here. So I really like these 2 pages. I like how they look, and you can get a lot of different photos on here. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, there are 20 different photos on this polar bear page. So you certainly have a lot of room to put a lot of different photographs. So that is our Diamond Mine series. Here is what our Diamond Mine dies look like in case you haven't seen them before. So we do have those on sale as well as a bunch of our other die sets. Let me just switch over here and I'll go over with you what we have on sale for you if you're interested. So if you are interested in shopping with us for our volume event, you're going to go to craftysituation.com to shop. You're going to use the coupon code DIAMOND. So Diamond Mines pages, we're going to use a coupon code DIAMOND. We have a special doorbuster for you until 2 p.m. Eastern Time. So you have a few hours here to shop. You're going to actually receive 30% off all of our regular priced items. So that's all of our dies, our grid paper, our grid cards, and our tools, our adhesive. All of that's going to be 30% off. And what the doorbuster is after 2 p.m., it's going to go down to 25% off. So you're actually getting an extra 5% off if you decide to shop with us in the next few hours here. So we did recently restock most of our store, so we've got a lot of great things in stock for you. We certainly do have our Diamond Mines Crafty box that's in stock that'll give you access to the online class that we're teaching this Thursday. The other thing that I did want to tell you, if you are interested in our basic dies, we still have our basic dies Crafty box that's available as well. So that includes our basic die set, a free waffle 1x1 die, a free pack of paper, and our pattern book. It's usually a $225 value. It's for $149.99 on sale. And then finally, the last thing that I wanted to show you was we have another class that we're going to be teaching next week on October 22nd. This is our X Factor class. So this is our X Factor class. We have that for sale online. It's a Crafty box, and it will provide you instruction. We'll do another Facebook Live for 75 minutes to be able to make these 2 pages. X Factor Amazing is the class name. We were supposed to teach this during the Stamp and Scrapbook Expo this year had we been in person, but again, unfortunately, we weren't able to make it. So we wanted to offer this as a one-time class on October 22nd, so that's available for you as well. That is all I have for you today. I hope that you have a great day shopping and listening to the different presentations from the vendors. I wanted to thank Kate Griswold with the Great Lakes Mega Meet for putting this event on again, and for Beth and Cindy who have been monitoring comments with me here today. Have a fabulous day and stay healthy and stay safe.